be respectful of your time, the last thing I want to touch on, and this has been a big question. We've talked a little bit about this, but there's been other information that's kind of transpired since. Why XRP? Why Ripple? Why is
it.
Ben Armstrong so
You love it.
supportive of this particular cryptocurrency project?
The one that you love and you would give your life for.
That seems to be a banker's coin trying to work with the legacy system, not necessarily replace it.
One piece of it, sure.
So yeah, I'm just curious. I know you talked about the actual XRP army in the community, which I know that's an awesome thing. But then we got to look at the ideologies of the company and the people. So I'm curious, why XRP?
Well, if you listen to Brad Garlinghouse is an OG in the space, and he really supports decentralization. He supports a lot of what we support, almost exclusively supports what we support. The only difference would be he has a centralized company, and XRP is fluid to work with banks, and people don't like that. And I get it. I understand why people have that viewpoint, but I would say a lot of the things that people think about XRP is because at some point down the previously down the road, they decided they didn't like it, and so they just made a blanket statement on whatever negative I hear about. I'm going to believe that, and I'm not going to take in new information or change my mind on it. Right? Do we think that banks are going away in the next 10 years? Like, do we really think that? Do we think banks are going to disappear in the next 10 years?
Not banks.
It'd be great if they did.
But banking as we know it, I think, will change. But banks won't go away.
Right. And so when you really look at what XRP is doing, like I really encourage people to look at what is XRP. It's a network of value. What is Bitcoin? A network of value. What is Swift? A network of information. Really, if you look at what XRP is doing, is trying to replace the status quo that a lot of other stuff in crypto is trying to do. All it's trying to do is make international cross-border settlements faster. Is that really that bad? Is that really that bad? Or are they really putting banks in such a much higher position than crypto that like this is the way the banks win? And that's the way a lot of anti-XRP people will try to spin it. But that's just not true. They're trying to upgrade a system and an infrastructure that's slow within the banking system.
Now, everything you said, I can 100% get on board and agree with, whether or not that I support the project or not. And I'm definitely going to support them in regards to going against the SEC.
Absolutely.
And I know you mentioned the enemy of my enemy is my friend. But when the SEC case, let's say, is done with it, are you still going to be very much a big proponent of XRP? And the one thing that I want to add is, since me and you have really talked about this specifically, the Ripple has become a partner with the World Economic Forum. And I think Brad Garlinghouse has some sort of chair capacity as well. I'm not really a big fan of that, knowing what the World Economic Forum and Klaus Schwab and what their agenda seems to be. What are your thoughts just on the whole Ripple and partnership with the World Economic Forum?
Okay, well, let's look at this. If I got offered a seat on the World Economic Forum, you think I would take it?
Before I even answer that, I want to say someone that we both respect, Charles Hoskinson. I think, if I'm not mistaken, he made a video about a year ago saying that he was no longer going to participate in going to Davos and anything World Economic Forum related.
Well, was he on the board of the World Economic Forum?
No, he was not on the board.
Okay. So it's apples and oranges here. I'm going to ask you again, Rice. If I was offered the opportunity to sit on the board of the WEF, what do you think I would say?
Knowing you would say yes.
I would say abso-freaking-lutely.
And you'd want to see right by Mr. Klaus.
I would be right next to Klaus, because Klaus ain't going nowhere. Neither am I. I don't know if I'd go after Klaus the same way I would after SBF, but maybe we'll see. I've been known to.
If you built the army big enough,
instead
of Project Mayhem, it could be Project BitBoy.
So look, I understand the beef there, and look, this is where we get into this world of crypto where everything is just so sloppy, and this is why I'm not willing to make a judgment call and say, because Ripple partnered with the World Economic Forum, that I'm going to pull out of it for sure. We're very anti-WEF. Now, WEF, if you want me on the board, I'll come on. A snake in the hen house. I would love to be part of that. I've had some speaking opportunities come up that are probably going to happen, to where I'm going to be speaking to some people that totally are the antithesis of what's in crypto. But
Okay.
how else are we ever going to convert those people?
That's yeah, no, I
Right?
get that. I totally get that. But
So,
being on a chairman on and speaking to people is two different things.
understood. But the idea is, we want to really start dicing this down. Okay, digital currency group, right? Like, you're always going. Here's what the point I'm trying to make. You're always going to run into conflicts of interest here in crypto. You're just going to.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this: a project I assume you at least one time supported, Basic Attention Token, Brave browser,
Yeah.
supported by Digital Currency Group,
No,
right?
I know. I know.
So, right, conflict of interest.
Yeah,
So,
it is.
so you look at Coinbase and Ripple. So how about this? How about, on behalf of Ripple, one of the amicus briefs that was filed was from the Blockchain Association with, Jake Travinsky, who's thought to be somebody really great in the space. I think he is great in space. I have nothing against him. I think he's a good guy. I think the Blockchain Association is generally good. Do you know their major supporter? Digital
Digital
Currency
currency.
Group.
Yeah, I know they have their hands in pretty much most everything.
They got their hands in everything. So if you're really going to make these kind of decisions on, once again, go back to this idea of, if you take a shot, don't take a shot where you're going to miss. Don't swing and miss. If I'm going to make a philosophical decision, definitely not to support something permanently, I need to make sure that it's ironclad, and I really understand the motives, and I really understand that there is a bad reason that happened. Okay. FTX was partnered with the WF. They scrubbed them real quick. That alone would not have been enough for me to totally not support FTX. It took me looking into the soul of Sam Bankman-Fried and seeing the kind of person he was. If I look into the soul of Brad Garlinghouse and I come to realize I think he's a bad person, I will not support Ripple anymore. And that's what this boils down to. I'm not going to make these conflict of interest decisions, because I understand these arguments you're making. And I just as easily could have came out on the other side of it. But what has really propelled me further into this is, number one, the hatred of the SEC, the most useless, corrupt organization in the history of the world.
Right.
Number two is the Ripple community. The XRP army is so, they're so fun, and they really believe in everything that they're doing. And they're the most, nobody cares about their coin out as much as Cardano and Ripple and XRP. Cardano and the XRP army, they love their communities more than anything, and they want to push things forward, and you got to respect that. And so somewhere along the lines, I've fallen into the XRP army, and I really support those people. And so at the end of the day, whether or not Ripple supports the WEF or not, I'm looking at friends around the space, and I'm like, they're really dependent on, is this project going to make it? They put everything in here, and I want them to succeed. And so it's just kind of that conflict between, on personal levels and individual levels, and then greater kind of corporate levels, where you're making decisions where it comes to philosophy. And I think I've been pretty clear here about where I make the distinction and where I don't. The leadership is very important to me. And I think Brad is a good person. I really do believe that. I think Brad really wants what's best for crypto. He's actually become one of my heroes in the space. I mean, I'm a grown man. I don't really have heroes, but he's someone that I do look up to in crypto. I do believe has the right ideas and the right motives for what needs to happen in crypto, regardless of whether he does own a centralized company, which centralized companies are not the devil, right?
No, I know. There's a time and place for centralization.
Exactly. So we'll see. Now, look, if I thought this was an epic battle between crypto and Ripple, and if Ripple wins, then crypto goes away and everything goes away to the banker, we would be having a different conversation. But I don't believe that. I do believe that really Ripple and XRP is a tool, or are tools, to be able to upgrade the current financial system for banks. That doesn't make the banks win. It just makes things faster in the world. It makes the economy run faster. So, and then in addition to that, I had one more point I was going to make about that, XRPL. You also have the XRPL, which is totally distributed, totally, decentralized. They have NFTs, and the community has a lot of fun on there. You can do anything on the XRPL in a roundabout way that you can do on other chains. So you're going to see the development of the XRPL as well. And you're going to see there is a decentralized side of XRP, a decentralized side, of Ripple that is going to open the door for a lot of good things.
Well said, man. And I appreciate you taking the time to really explain that. And that's one of the cool things that I like about you and other people in the space that I call peers. When we don't necessarily see eye to eye, we can have a really civil conversation about those disagreements. And I think people can learn from that.